Congressman Gosar, always good to talk to you, and thanks for taking the time because I know how busy you are.
Oh, it's always my pleasure, Jenny.
More than a dozen of these civil rights and labor groups have sent a letter to House Speaker Boehner claiming that holding the Attorney General in contempt, and I'm quoting, seems to be a rush to judgment intended to create a stain on the office of the Attorney General. A stain. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, I don't know where these groups are reading or looking at the information. They're disconnected from the truth or their reality. This happened in our backyard, and the Attorney General has brought this upon himself.
Mm-hmm.
When you've already got number 3 in control of the DOJ lying to Congress, and he's still practicing law and still in his job at DOJ, he hasn't been on administrative leave or anything. This is exactly what the Attorney General gets. But we need to have the oversight that is mandated by the Constitution over the DOJ, and we need to see the facts and see the information and documents and the witnesses.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. Staying on the AG's office, I mean, like you said, it really is the Attorney General who brought this on himself, amongst other things, as you were listing, and he won't let people like Kevin O'Reilly testify, even though he said he wants to testify, and the list goes on and on.
Well, and Jenny, he also said in our hearing, going back, if you'll go back with me, that he would do only what past administrations have done. And when we showed him that past administrations have allowed us to look at inline attorneys getting the documentation, he didn't put up a fuss. So where is it? Why is the stonewalling? Is his fingers in the cookie jar? And that's exactly why we want to know.
When you see groups like this writing this letter, is this another case of these groups running defense for the administration like we saw so many Democrats in the Congress doing?
Well, I do believe, Jenny, and I also want to know where are their voices for the lives that have been lost on both sides of the border, not just Brian Terry, but what about the Hispanic voices that have been silenced? Over 300 people have been killed by these guns, and what's so egregious about this is they already knew this was a lose-lose situation, and they did this in spite of that.
Mm-hmm. And, but these groups, they point out, they say, hey, this is a significant distraction at a time when the AG needs to focus on the nation's core problems. And, I would think the core problems include national security and the fact that the Attorney General himself, when he testified before your committee, he said, we will be paying the price for years to come because of Operation Fast and Furious.
Absolutely, and now what we need to do is we need to have an honest man coming forward and giving us the documentation as merited, and that is what we've demanded, and that's what we need to have. And I think that these civil rights groups need to refocus and relook and not pretend that they're in fairyland. And if they need a quick reminder, I'd have them all come out to the border and come out to Arizona, because this is exactly what happened in my backyard, and we're still living with the dire consequences that are associated with it.
I mean, all they need to do is talk to the Brian Terry family. We're talking about the truth. That's all they're asking for.
Well, that's the truth. Absolutely, Jenny. We want the Brian Terry family to have the closure and have an understanding of what happened. But it's also that all the folks out in southwestern Arizona or southwestern America, and in Arizona particularly, we have to face looking at crimes that will be committed by these over 1,400 guns that are still unaccounted for. Yep. And this was just so ludicrous that we defiled the sovereignty of Mexico. We utilize the collateral of our personal property and lives of the people in the Southwest, and particularly in Arizona. That's just not what government does. They need to be held accountable.
Speaker Boehner recently ratcheted up the pressure on Holder, though, demanding answers and letting him know he only has a couple of weeks. You think anything is going to change in a couple of weeks?
Well, right now, from what I've seen of lack of accountability, a real life America can't do this, Jenny. We never get away with this. In fact, we're already in prison and the key thrown away with a Department of Justice like this. And so what I've asked for is I want contempt charges to proceed already. I would love to have them this week if we could, because I think what we've seen from this Attorney General through his associates, dispelling that they've given us everything that they are going to give us, I say get it on.
So the clock is ticking.
It absolutely is, and I'm tired of keeping America waiting.